You.
What a jerk.
Oh, that too.
Yeah,
Huh.
get
Hey, wait
moving
a
on that, Joe.
Yeah, I'm looking at my email right now. Yeah, I'm all over it.
You wanna
Okay.
maybe forward that to me?
I
I'm
can.
curious. I'd love to.
If only I knew where it was.
Why not?
Hi, guys.
Hi, Carol.
Hi,
Hi,
Carol.
Carol.
Did I miss something exciting?
No,
Not yet.
Hey, when May comes and the COVID requirements change, I think, I wonder if we're going to be going live.
I don't know. It's something we can talk about, but we don't have to because they extended the executive order allowing remote meetings through like 2025.
Oh,
Wow.
really? Wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
I think they toyed with the idea of making everybody do hybrid, and then they got a lot of feedback that that's not practical because it's so technically difficult still, and a lot of communities just don't have the resources to put into that kind of audiovisual technology. So instead they just said, okay, fine, you can keep going, you can do hybrid or remote.
or what do you mean, or live?
I'm sorry, you can do in-person, hybrid, or remote.
Okay. Well, as long as we don't have to do hybrid, I don't really care either way at this point, but
Yeah, we could go back to totally in person too. The hybrid is what is very tricky. It really still is. They're having glitches all the time with the planning board. And it's a lot of setup that, I'm not super techie and familiar with. So it makes me nervous to think of trying to run that and be part of the meeting at the same time. So if we do go back, I'd prefer to just be like in person without the hybrid, but it's something for you all to discuss.
yeah.
Go either way.
Well, so long as we're not required to go hybrid, I don't really, I'm
Yeah.
more or less agnostic about it, even though I prefer this, but if we want to go in person, that's fine.
Where did
Um,
you used to meet?
In the boardroom of the senior center
Okay.
upstairs. We were the first ones to get that room.
Wow. It's a nice room. I did some programs there.
Yeah, it is a good room. It's very comfortable. I like that room. It worked out well.
It's
It was
not
almost
great for
like
the
we didn't have a
public.
home before that. We were sort of second tier for.
Oh,
various
yeah.
places.
Yeah, we were the traveling Wilburys in our meetings.
Yeah,
And
and Steve's right. It's not, the boardroom is comfortable for us, but it's not really that great for the audience, and it's not really that great for applicants either,
No.
but the seats are very comfortable.
Yes. Yes, they are.
So Bill, where are you?
I'm actually home.
Oh, you look like you're in the dark.
Yeah, well, all right, all right. There's the rest of it, but yeah.
Came home just in time for it to feel like spring, so that was really smart. Plan your trip.
Gretchen's here. So at 6:45, we're gonna fly. We have one thing tonight. Julie, if you want to start recording.
We are recording already.
Oh, we are? Okay.
Yes, we are.
Alrighty. All right, well, Gretchen is here. We have a quorum. And we have other, let's see who else is here. We have Heather McIntosh and Leela Wright. All right, let's bring this meeting to order. This is the March 21st, 2023 Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting taking place on the Zoom platform. This meeting is being recorded. And our first item on the agenda, the March 7th, 2023 meeting minutes. Anybody have any comments or questions or changes?
I move that they be approved.
Second,
Let me get Charlie, Dan, you all set with the meeting minutes?
All set, yep.
Yep, no comments, no.
Okay. All right, well, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, Charlie Lovisetti,
Yes,
Steve Moore,
yes,
David Vine,
I wasn't at the meeting, abstained.
okay. Carol Wagon,
Yes,
Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. All right, next time are the, or any, do we have any updates? Plum Island updates, Julie?
Let me go back to the agenda, sorry. No real Plum Island updates to speak of. The dredge, the Delaware, that's supposed to be coming up from, I believe it's Rhode Island or somewhere down there, is on its way. I would notice that the contractors were assembling some piping related equipment out in the parking lot today. So hopefully that means that they're going to be starting soon. And they still aim to be done by April 30th. And that's the limit of their extension that they got. So hopefully that's still in play. And we're working on the beach management plan, as David knows. We've been working with Councilor Zeed and a few other people from DCR and UNH to get that put together. It looks like we had a meeting with DCR a couple weeks ago, and it looks like they want us, or actually it was last week, looks like they want us to go through the MIPA process with the beach management plan. They said it's a barrier, we need to have a barrier beach management plan according to Executive Order 181. And because it's state property, it has to go through MIPA, which hopefully means we would just do an ENF rather than a full environmental impact report, which would take a long time and we'd have to hire a consultant and spend lots of money. So I'll give you another update on that next week. We're trying to figure out how we can streamline that process. So that
Did we have to go through the MIPA last time?
no, apparently not. And
Did you check in
DCR
on that?
Yeah,
Julia?
yeah, we can't find any evidence that it went through MIPA, and nor
Yeah.
did the Salisbury beach management plan go through MIPA back when it was originally passed. And DCR is now saying that that was a mistake and that it should have, or they both should have, and so they need to now. Yes.
Okay,
Was there anything else of substance from your meeting with them?
Not really. I put together a sort of a cleaned up version of the cleaned up copy of the plan with, all the red lines corrected, and they want us to send them a draft so that they can take a look at it, and then we will move forward from there with another discussion with them about like next steps and what level of process and permitting they think it requires. So I'll keep you in the loop, but right now that's where we are.
Any progress on getting sand from the Charles?
Not that I've heard of. I know they have a lot of sand over there in the parking lot, and they're hoping to get it moved. They also have a ton of sand on their beach. We don't intend to try to borrow any of that. That needs to stay on the beach. But the sand in the parking lot could potentially be moved over to 77th and 75th Streets. But I think that the idea is that it should wait, any proposal like that should wait until after the dredge has been completed, or at least been started, so that we can get a better sense of, where it needs to go and how it should be configured and really what our needs are at that time.
okay.
what does he do with the sand if they don't put it on the beach?
I mean, I think they just sort of push it to the side the best they can. Stockpile it over there.
Over by the parking lot?
Yeah. Their parking lot.
Hmm.
That's a good question. I'm not really exactly sure.
Because it seemed like at that meeting we were at, Julia, that they were also saying that they need more sand on the Newbury side of the beach. I don't know
Yeah,
if there was any conversation about giving them some of that sand or whatever. I don't understand. you know.
no, we're not giving,
No.
not
Not
to be
giving
mean,
away
we're not giving
sand.
them any of our sand. No way, Jose.
Okay, okay.
I'm just teasing, but no, I think that in the past, you know, we haven't done that. And I think the most serious need on the island right now is on Reservation Terrace. So that's how we would approach this.
I would agree. All right, anything else? Hearing nothing, on to our only agenda item tonight, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Park River National Wildlife Refuge, and various coastal locations, request for
Okay.
determination.
So I'm assuming Heather McIntosh and Liana, if you're here for this, I'm just wondering who's representing. Yeah, I know it's okay. It's Liana. So I will move Liana over to be a panelist. If anyone else wants to participate as a representative of this project, just raise your hand and I will move you over also. So you can be a panelist and speak to the commission. Otherwise, you can stay in the attendees list. David, okay, yes, that's great. Thanks, David. And Heather. Perfect. All right.
All right, we see you, Liana.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for having us. Is it okay if I share a quick PowerPoint?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Please do.
great.
Let me, yeah, you can, I'll stop share and you can start share.
Great, thank you. Can you all see the PowerPoint all right?
Yes.
All right, so my name is Liana D'Annunzio. I work for U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in Mass Audubon at Park River National Wildlife Refuge. And we recently filed an RDA for the control of perennial pepperweed. So perennial pepperweed is an invasive plant. Last time we were before the Newburyport Conservation Commission was in 2020, and we'd received a negative determination for this project. And now we're refiling because it's due to expire this year. So, ooh, maybe I can, okay, there we go. So perennial pepperweed grows along the edges of brackish and salt marshes, the banks of tidal creeks, dunes, and roadsides. And the seeds spread very easily through waterways because they can float. So in order to kind of contain and eradicate the plant from this area, we need a watershed level control approach. And in 2006, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and Mass Audubon initiated just that with the Great Marsh Perennial Pepperweed Control Project. So it's been going on for, about 17 years now. And it focuses throughout the Great Marsh, not just in Newburyport, although tonight I'm only going to be speaking about the portion in Newburyport. Okay, so for the treatment, we hand pull the pepperweed, as you can see in the left. We have a team of about 5 or 6 technicians that we hire every year that go out and pull a whole lot of pepperweed, as well as volunteers as well. Once the pepperweed is pulled, we bag it up in contractor bags and send them to the incinerator. This is to prevent any spread that might happen. The plant can spread both from seeds and through root fragments. So by keeping it contained after we pull it and sending it to this incinerator prevents any spread that might occur. And we also will treat with herbicides as well. It's a controlled spray using backpack sprayers, and it'll go directly onto the plant. So some of our best management practices, we always acquire landowner permission before we enter a property to treat the pepperweed or to check for pepperweed. As I mentioned, this is a watershed level approach, so we are looking to get it everywhere that it occurs, including on private properties. We access sites by foot or by boat to avoid any impacts to sensitive areas. As I mentioned before, we try to prevent the spread of the pulled plants as much as possible by bagging it up and sending it to be properly disposed of. For the herbicide, we only use licensed pesticide applicators in the state of Massachusetts to do the work for us. And they strictly adhere by the instructions on the herbicide labels. And that includes, best management practices such as not spraying in high winds. So there isn't a chance that when you spray, the particles can drift off site. And there's also, our applicators are careful not to spray when there's a chance of rain in the near future or of very high tides that could potentially wash herbicide off the plants before it absorbs. Okay, so this is just kind of a big overview of the pepperweed sites in Newburyport. The little dots are all pepperweed infestations. Yellow means the sites are now, they once had pepperweed, but now they're free of pepperweed. And the other colors kind of show the different types of treatment that they received in the past year, such as red is for spraying with herbicide and blue is hand pulling. And in Newburyport, there are 217 sites total. And as of last year, 44 were clear, which is about 20%. So it's a pretty good accomplishment. Here's just some close-ups of some of the different areas of Newburyport. This also shows which sites we have permission for and which we do not. So all of the green parcels, we have permission. Pink is that we, probably because the landowner recently changed, but we're requesting new permission. And red is they have declined treatment on their properties. So there's some along the Merrimack River waterfront. It's on the western side, through along the Plum Island Turnpike and Woodbridge Island, and the basin as well on Plum Island. And we had a pretty big milestone this year in 2020. This is for kind of project-wide throughout the whole Great Marsh, but 43% of the sites, which there's over 3,000 sites, are now clear. So that's up 14% from last year. So it's a pretty exciting accomplishment. And it really is, due to the really close collaboration between U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Mass Audubon, and all of our other partners and volunteers.
Do you find that you get new sites each year also, or?
So there are usually a small portion of new sites every year, and it seems to occur where treatment did not happen the year before, which kind of reinforces the point that we need to make sure we keep treating each year until the site is eradicated, because they can spread so easily if a year is skipped. So, and we do a pretty thorough mapping every few years as well to check areas that we aren't regularly going to each year.
But can I ask you a question? But once you treated it, it hasn't come back in any of the places where you pulled it or sprayed it or whatever?
Yes. Yeah, some areas will require, several years of treatment of hand pulling or the spraying. Usually the density will go down, but it will take a few years. As I mentioned before, it can sprout from root fragments. So in the instance of hand pulling, if the entire root doesn't get pulled out, if there's some root fragments left in there, that can resprout the next year, which is why we kind of go back and kind of clean up the following years.
I'm curious, you had said that we're 20% clear, and I think you were showing the whole bay as 40% clear, which would imply to me that we're not really doing that well comparatively. Is there a reason, or am I just interpreting wrong?
I mean, we're doing all right, and that doesn't account for like density of pepperweed sites as well. That's just kind of like the number number of sites, but the number of sites can be, various sizes and density. So it's kind of a rough number. We have made a lot of progress in the basin, though. We have a lot of really cooperative landowners there. And there are, areas that are clear now that haven't been in the past. So, slow and steady.
Okay.
How do
Leon,
how do you determine whether it's best to hand pull or to use spray? Is it the location of the plant? Is it the size of the collection? How do you figure that?
Yes, good question. Yeah, so as I mentioned, we have that team of technicians that we sent out to pull the pepperweed, just quite laborious work. And typically if there's a site that they either can't get to easily, maybe it's really far into the marsh and you'd need a boat or something to get there, or if it's just in a really nasty site with a lot of thorns and poison ivy, usually those sites will reserve for spraying because our contractors have access to boats, and you don't have to get quite as into the poison ivy and thorns to spray it. But yeah, also the kind of size of the stands can also call for spraying as opposed to hand pulling. If it's just a really huge dense site spread over a large area, it's just more efficient to do the spraying over the hand pulling.
Liana, if you don't mind, I'll just add that in terms of the way we see the number of sites and the question about increasing numbers of sites, we do sometimes find new occurrences of the plant in places where it had not been previously found. But another thing that can happen is that a very large infestation can, through treatment, be broken up into small enough pieces that we end up creating new sites out of what was one. So there's a little bit of squish in those numbers, but overall, the areas that are clear have really been increasing.
Thanks, David.
Anybody else got any questions? All right, I don't hear any.
I actually have one more question, Joe. So when people deny you the right to come on and do something, why do they do that? Do you know do you ask them for a reason, or you just back off if they say no?
There's some that we have, we'll send out, permission slips to all of the landowners that we have periodically, and they'll send them back to us. Sometimes we'll encounter them on their property while we're out pulling, and sometimes they'll let us know then. So sometimes we give them as much information as they can to try to make them feel comfortable with the project, but sometimes it just comes down to that they don't feel comfortable with people coming onto their property, which is totally fine. Safety issues as well, so that they don't want to be liable for anything. So sometimes we'll just try to give them as much information as possible.
Okay,
And
thank you.
sorry, I just wanted to mention too, and sometimes when we receive those new permission slips, once we receive the ones that we've already sent out, they'll say that they are more than happy to take care of it themselves. And like Liana said, we give them the best information we can so that they can do that themselves.
Good. Anything else? No. Do we want a motion? I know I want a motion.
I'll make one, but I can never remember whether it's a -2 or a -3.
Well, we don't have any conditions, so it would be a 2, I think.
Okay, I'll make a motion to issue a -2 determination.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Charlie Lovasetti,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes,
David Vine,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right.
Thank you all for your
you.
support.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
How long will this one be in place?
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So good luck.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Maybe we'll see you
you.
out there.
Keep up the good work.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have anything else they would like to discuss?
Oh, Julia, the last time I spoke to you about the Captain Joe or some, the New England development and so
Yeah.
forth, you had said that they were talking with the state on their various sites.
Mhm. Yeah, so I do have an update on that, actually. I met with Chris Skiba, who is with Newburyport Development out there actually on the site yesterday with Paul Avery, who's their engineering consultant, who you all might remember. But so as you can remember, they've got 3 projects that were sort of all tentatively in front of us at the same time that all have issues. One is the sort of beer garden proposal over by Oldies, where there was a question about who actually owned the property behind Oldies that they were planning to put this on. And it looked like it was owned by the railroad, but they thought they owned it. And there was a question about that. They have gone back and they have since found evidence that they do in fact own that strip of land. So they will be coming back to us with that RDA to finalize that. I'm not sure when, but it will be probably this season. On the Captain Joe's, like that raw bar situation that they had out there last summer, and then also the goat, which is what they're building out, where the old Palm Island Roasters used to be. We had said that, well, the goat hasn't actually been before us yet, but if they wanted to do any exterior work around that building, it would need to come before us. And we said that with Captain Joe's, clearly they also needed to be following up with Chapter 91. And we were waiting to hear from them on the status of their Chapter 91 negotiations before they would be allowed to reestablish the raw bar this year or any future year. And so what Chris told me yesterday was that for both of those sites, because essentially it's the Chapter 91 license that they have out there applies to the broader property that they own. So it applies to both the location where the goat is, as well as the Captain Joe's raw bar. And so they are going to be asking for a minor modification to the Chapter 91 license that would apply to both of these sites. And they're working on that now. Apparently their lawyers are working through it with Chapter 91. So what I said to him was, that's fantastic, great to hear it, but we will need, evidence of this in writing. We're going to need some sort of assurance of the status of this Chapter 91 approval and modification. And he said, okay, I get it, I understand, I'll get that, I'll get something to you all. So that's, I mean, it's an update, it's nothing concrete, but it does show that they understood that they need to get this done, and they are working on it. And it will apply to both projects.
That's good. Is that the holdup on the goat, or is it they have the other reasons why? Does it seem like that it wasn't supposed to have been in place by now?
Yeah. So there are other reasons why. I mean, their interior renovations still aren't done. There were issues with their building permits for just even the interior renovations. So they have been held up for reasons that have nothing to do with us. They haven't even really gotten to the outdoor space design yet, or if they've designed it, they haven't submitted anything to the city in terms of what they want to do around the exterior of the building. I know they have some plans, but and it's pretty minor stuff, but it will have to come before us, and it will also have to come before zoning. And we have not received anything on that yet. To my knowledge, they are still working through their issues on the interior. So that's the holdup. But he did say that they're hoping to be, open for the summer season. I don't know if that will pan out or not, but I mean, I think that we're ready for them, and knowing that they're going to have a Chapter 91 modification associated with it, I think that, at least for the Conservation Commission process, things hopefully would go smoothly once they come in. But we'll just have to wait and see what plans look like.
Mhm. That's good.
All
I
right.
think if there's anything else coming down the pike. Oh, one of the reasons why I met out there yesterday with those guys is because we will be getting a proposal from them also for some replacement of pilings for the piers out at the Windward Yacht Club and at like Hilton's Marina. So on either side of like where Michael's is, they have some issues with some pilings that have deteriorated that they need to replace. So I said for them to come in with that all at once. So that's what they'll be doing. Probably in the next few meetings.
How about the, what was it, BSC that was doing work for National Grid on the planting in that area along the walkway?
Yeah, I thought of that the other day, David, because I was walking by there and I looked at it and I thought, oh, it just gets worse and worse, actually. There's nothing.
I walked
about
by
that.
there the other day and it looks terrible.
Yeah, it's
Terrible.
pretty sad looking.
It's ponding water. It's nothing is growing. It looked better when it was just gravel, to be totally honest. So,
Yeah.
thank you for the reminder. I thought about that over the weekend too. So we'll dig that one back up again.
Okay. Anything else? If not, I will accept the motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Roll call, Charlie Lovisetti,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Devine,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Dan Warshaw,
yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, folks.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Right.
Meeting.
All
Good
right.
night.
Hey,
All
yeah,
right.
thanks everyone
Have
for
a good
coming.
one.
Sorry it was so short.
Okay.
Sorry, this is good. All right.
See you later.